We're here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. because we want to grow you as a defender.
The defender seeks the challenge of standing up for what's morally and ethically right, and is willing to step forward and put themselves in harm's way because they believe that sacrifice and love is the way to do things.
And what we mean by that is that you can grow as a good shooter, but what we're really here for is to help you grow personally as a defender. We know that personal growth and shooting growth go hand in hand, and we want to work to help you become better people in your lives, in your everyday lives, and that's going to translate to your shooting on the range. So that's what we're here for. Hello, beautiful people. It is Laura Thorson again. Wednesday night, I'm here with you on Defenders Live. Thank you so much for being on. It has been a whirlwind week of training with Adam Winch. He's in the great state of Montana this week, and I can't even believe I showed up in time to even make this live happen. If you had any idea what's been going on, and even in just the last few hours, it's amazing that I'm here with you tonight. But I'm so glad that I am. We have a really special guest on that I'm going to introduce you to here in a minute. So thanks for attending tonight. If you have not yet, you guys know the drill. If you guys are here already, shout out in the comments where you're from. We want to hear from you. And if you also have questions along the way tonight, make sure you put those in the comments as well. We'll be monitoring those questions along the way. And we'll probably be doing a quick Q&A at the end with our special guest if we have questions for him. So, as always, we will have Adam Winch in the green room tonight. He's been having audio issues, so I doubt he'll be chiming in tonight, but we hope that he'll be in the green room to help me out behind the scenes. So we're working on that. If you guys don't know who Adam is, he's the owner and lead instructor of Defenders USA. And if you'd like to learn more about me or Adam, you can go to defenders-usa.com and click the About page, and you can learn more about us, our team, and our mission at Defenders. So thanks again for joining us. If you're on the replay too, welcome. If you're new, I'm so glad that you're here. I want to give a shout out here real quick to Haven Defense Company, our sponsor of the week. I'm going to run a quick promo and I'll be right back. Be sure to check out Haven Defense Company. Britt Hickman and his family own this top-notch holster company in Colorado. All of his products are made in the USA, and their customer service is unbeatable. Don't take my word for it. Check it out on his website yourself. Brent makes sure each holster that leaves his shop is the very best holster he can deliver for you. He's my go-to guy for all things concealment. For 10% off any holster, go to havendefenseco.com and use promo code DEFENDERS at checkout. As always, thank you to Haven Defense Company, Brent, and family for being a part of Defenders Live. And this week, I wasn't going to do a tidbit of the week, but, I kind of came up with one here in the last hour based on what has been happening today. And here's what I'll say. I don't know if any of you guys follow me on Facebook, but this week I earned a 10-yard ace card in Adam Winch's class, which I'd never done in the past. And it wasn't like, as fast maybe as I can go. If I keep working on it, I can go faster, right? But it was a win for me, and I celebrated it royally. Like, I was so excited, and everyone in the class heard it, and probably the people, a mile away heard it too, because I was roaring. And it was a great, great feeling. There were lots of wins this week. And what I want to say about that, and one of the things that I want to share with you, is that one of the things I want to say first is Adam in the class. He kept saying, you got to have faith. You got to believe you can do it. You got to have faith. And for some reason, that really resonated with me. Whenever those nerves start to really, get ramped up and you get on the line, everybody's watching and there's a timer and you can feel the pressure. That's where the rubber meets the road, guys. And if you don't have faith and you don't believe that you can actually do something, It's not going to happen. And so sometimes even when you do believe you can do it, it still doesn't happen. But it has to be there, right? You have to have faith. So my point to you in the tidbit of the week is I want you to know that not only can you, but you will if you believe and you have faith. I saw something today just within the last couple of hours that was literally a work of God that this person was okay. Um, Justin and I were Justin and I were first on the scene of an accident that could have been it seemed like it would have been a horrific thing, and it turned out, as far as I know, the person's okay, and thank God for that. But the first thing out of my mouth when I saw him walk out of the vehicle was, that was literally a miracle from God. There is no other way to describe it. And we're still like coming down off of that adrenaline dump. So I apologize if I'm speaking very quickly or if I seem like I'm a little off tonight, but that was quite an experience. So that again ties into having faith. Um, Whenever you're on the line and whenever you're training, whenever you're shooting, and you do believe in yourself and you do have faith, you have to set yourself mentally just like you do physically. So when you're getting up there and you're thinking about, are my toes right, my knees right, my shoulders, everything right, and my grip and all of that, you have to also check yourself mentally, right? You have to think about, do I have everything right mentally, and do I feel prepared mentally to be able to do this? Because if you don't, it's not gonna work. So you need to know that you can make the shot. You need to not just hope that you can make the shot. You need to do the work in order to make that happen, because that's really important. You can't just believe your way into doing something, but make your mind up and do it. So many times I see people come to the line, and I've watched them through the course of the day do extremely well. Um, and so I know that they are capable of doing whatever the task is, but I see in them sometimes when the pressure starts to come on, they start to fall apart a little bit mentally, and they start questioning themselves. And they haven't made their mind up that they can do it. So that's what I want to challenge you to really think about in your training, in your everyday life. Make your mind up and do it. You will shock yourself at what you're able to accomplish. And I want to talk specifically very quickly about a gal that we had in class this week. She was on our day one handgun fundamentals class. She had never handled a gun before. She was brand new, and she was an older gal. But she was very open minded to what we said to her. And by the end of the day, it was amazing to watch her grow. Uh, in so many ways, in skill, definitely, but absolutely in confidence. She was a totally different person by the end of the day than she was when we started. And the reason I bring her up is because she sent something to me tonight that absolutely blew my mind. And I want to share that with you because it really gets to the heart of what I'm trying to get at with you guys here tonight. She said, I just want to say that the day was mind blowing and your part in it for me was key. Thanks for having my physical and psychological back all day, for the amazing support, reminders about safety with triggers, the eye to eye connection, and encouragement and acknowledgement. It would have not been the same at all without you. For a 1 day immersive workshop on a topic that one might describe as skills based, which it was, of course, the experience has had an unexpected psychological and spiritual impact. My identity has expanded, and it took a few days for me to get used to that. And I'm not sure that the larger who I am has yet been fully integrated. So interesting, challenging in some ways, and also empowering. Now, when I hear that come from somebody that we've seen this week, I am absolutely blown away because that is what we strive at Defenders to do. Um, yes, we try to build you in skill, but when you can walk away and feel like you've grown as a person in more ways than one, you've won all the way around, right? And that's a win for us too. So I watched her grow in front of my eyes in skills and confidence. And my challenge to you is that if she can do that, so can you. So get out there, have faith, and believe that you can and that you will. All right, I'm off my soapbox now. Let's get to the real fun of the day, the interview. I have a really fun guest on. His name is JT Grover. He's from Rev-Tac, and he has a unique and awesome training facility I've only been able to hear about in Jackson, Nebraska. He and Adam were I don't know, pals of some kind at the ASP National Conference, and he did a pre-show with us last month, and him and Adam just like took it away. They were just you had to go back and watch the pre-show with JT Grover and Adam. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Those two are like two peas in a pod. It's hilarious watching them. So anyway, JT, I'm going to bring you on now. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
I'll
See?
save this. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those people that don't know you, could you give a little bit of background information on yourself and your facility?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys. And so my name is JT. I own Rev-Tac Firearm Instruction. And my start to this was just trying to earn some bullet money, really, some ammo and gun money about 12 years ago. And so what I did is I took my expertise on the military side and started to kind of, I don't know if we can say whore myself out, but we're going to. I just started to just do it. And then as far as that went, I mean, I didn't care if I was teaching a tactical team of some sort or if I was teaching somebody's grandma, we would just go. And then from that, it just turned into this. Now we have 11 instructors that work for us, and we're just awesome facility. We're blessed, better than we deserve. If you're ever in the Midwest, come out. You're welcome here. And we teach a ton of different classes, from the most basic stuff to the most advanced stuff. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, JT and I, we talked last night. Was it last night or the night? I don't even, the days are
Yeah,
blurring.
it's
I
been a
don't know
few
what day.
days. Yeah.
Yeah. We talked the other night, and JT had a few things on his mind that we wanted to go over. We thought would be interesting for the audience. So I think we should get right into it. First, we talked about training expectations and the fear of failure, and I kind of touched on that on my little tidbit. So, what can you tell people about training expectations and how to manage those?
Well, we've seen, man, we have trained a lot of people. But if you think about it in that sense, we've only trained maybe 1%, Laura, of the community. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so barely that, I bet. And so it's wild to think that people who may be carrying or maybe believing that they're capable of personal defense are not actually seeking out that training. And so we kind of have over the years tried to figure out why that is. And one of the biggest things, just personally, even with me, and I mean, I still feel a lot of pressure when I go to a class. I'm on that plane or I'm driving and I said, man, I'm going to be the worst one there. You know, don't tell anyone what you do. Don't tell anyone your background, right? You're just a student. It's okay. You've never handled a gun before, right? This is your
Right.
first time there. And then, you know, you go there and you have psyched yourself out to the point where
Hmm.
you're like, I'm not going inside, you know, or
Hmm.
I'm not going to sign up for that class or whatever. Right. And
Hmm.
that's one of the spectrums, is the fear of failure. But then there's that other spectrum that we talked about too, which is the Dunning-Kruger effect, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But when we talk about fear of failure, you're going to just have to take that step. You're going to have to just be vulnerable. You're going to have to live in the moment. And you have to realize that you actually going to a class is more than, I don't know, 99% of the other people you know, in the gun community.
Hmm.
It's easy to spend your money on guns and bullets and optics and all of that stuff and then never know how to use those things, right?
Hmm.
So I talked a lot there. I didn't even breathe that entire time. So I'm sorry. That was all in one breath.
Hey,
So,
you can have the floor, JT, as long as you want it.
okay, well, not too long. Yeah, so that's the fear of failure. I don't know if we want to talk any more in depth on that. Other than I think you said it great when you just said you got to go and you got to do it, you know, and have faith that
Yeah.
you're gonna, yeah, both
Yeah, I think a
physically.
lot of people understand the importance of getting training. I really do. I think they make excuses as to why they're not showing up and doing it. I really do. I mean,
Mhm.
if you want it bad enough, you will find a way to do it. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember the first class I went to of Adams. I told my husband. because Adam didn't know me at all. And I told my husband, I'm like, I am not going to tell him I'm an instructor, or, first of all, I don't want to act like I'm, tactical and Miss Know-It-All and all that. But second
Right.
of all, I'm like, no, I want to start on an equal playing field with everybody here. I don't want him to, have these like super high expectations. What if I can't meet him, But he called me out like within the first like 2 minutes. He totally like read it all over me for some reason. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the pants. I'm not sure. But anyway, but yeah, it's totally true. And I see people blowing off training all of the time. And it comes down to what's important to you. And we talked about that the other night too. It comes down to what is important to you and what are you willing to sacrifice financially, time-wise, whatever it is. If it's important to you enough, you will do it and you'll make time for it. So
Yeah.
it's a personal decision.
Time, we recognize that. Like here at our range, when people come and train with us, we thank them for their time, not so much their money, because money, man, we will spend money on pizza, the same amount of money on pizza this Friday, that we would have spent on training. But time is such a commodity that people really cling to. And it's wild because we get excited, at the range. We say, oh man, hey, it's a gorgeous day. You have no excuse to not be here. But man, it's a gorgeous day and it's just rained for 3 weeks. And now I've got to mow my lawn and I got to rake these leaves, or I got to, go for a bike ride, or whatever, wash my hair, whatever it is. It's just crazy,
And it all boils down to priorities. It really does. All right. So then tell us the other side of the spectrum, the Dunning-Kruger effect. I can't believe this is somewhat new to me and I should know this, right?
Well, you will know this. By the end of this, you'll know it and you'll identify it. So the Dunning-Kruger effect, or the Dunning-Kruger phenomena, is simply a false sense of confidence when it's in something that you truly know nothing about, right? You believe that you have this above average ability to perform in something that you don't actually understand. And it's really a neat thing to study, because as far as this, I can't remember what they call it, the cognitive whatever, but
dissonance,
but it's
or bias.
Man, cognitive bias. You're so smart. All right.
Yeah. No, and that's so Brian Hill. He says it all the time.
He does say that. Yeah. Right. And so, they call it a cognitive bias, where people with low ability, expertise, or experience regarding a certain type of task or area of knowledge tend to overestimate their ability or knowledge. Right. As I just read that, I didn't memorize that, but the crazy part about that is we see this all the time. And most of the time it's through like just kind of side conversations, or somebody will call on the phone and they'll say, oh, hey, my wife needs a class, but I don't. I've been shooting for 30 years, and that's one of the most, oh, I know. It's just cringe, whatever the cool kids are saying now. It's just, whatever, right?
I don't know. I'm not a cool kid.
You don't have kids that say cringe?
I have kids, but they're little.
Oh, okay. Well, you should teach them that, because all the kids say that, so cringe. But it is really rough to hear people's overconfidence. I don't even know how to describe. I mean, what would you equate that to? That would be.
That's ego. That's ego. Yeah, it's not being humble, and you're not being humble.
And wouldn't you say that the more you train, the more humility you have? Like the more.
Yes.
Yeah, it's wild.
Well, the more you train, the more you train, the more you realize how little you actually know. Right?
Yeah. Right.
At least for me, that's where I'm at right now anyway.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's everything. It's everything from in my other life on the military side, it's crazy. Yeah, you train a bunch, but you realize also how easily you could be taken, at any normal point when you're not preparing, right? And it's kind of the same thing here, is that, man, how do we get the message across that if you actually think personal defense is important to you, if you say it is, then you have to do more than just say it is, right? You actually have to, you can own 20 guns, And that is not as impressive as you owning one gun and being able to just operate that thing in your sleep, you know?
Yeah, and that's the question of the day for a lot of trainers that I run into is, I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of, "Oh, well, so and so says they're gonna sign up for this class," you know? And no, so and so
Yeah.
doesn't. I mean, we see a lot of trainers, I think probably what is the word I'm trying to say? The repeat customers, I guess you'd say, or what
Hmm.
percentage of people that come into a basic class end up coming back? For
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
for more training. They're all jazzed up when they leave, but a lot of
Yeah.
times they don't end up coming back. So, and
Right.
I don't think it's necessarily always the trainer's fault.
Yeah. Well, you carry some of that weight as the trainer though, because you say, man, did
Mhm.
I not convey the
Yeah.
magnitude of you doing this correctly, you know? And it's
Mhm.
not even just concealed carry, because that's where most people start. You know, most people start their shooting career as far as defensive shooting goes. They start that by taking a concealed carry class because it's required, you know?
Right.
And
Right.
the crazy part, and something that I think has really ruined, has muddied or tainted the waters of this, is online, where you can take this thing in your underwear in the bathtub. I don't know where that came from, because you can't. Nobody, but you know what I mean. Like, you could just take this anywhere. You could be watching a movie and be on your laptop, just clicking the enter or space bar or whatever to just
Right.
blow through this, and then you're
Right.
just as qualified as the guy who sat through a full day class and shot
Right.
on the range and took a test and actually studied the things that matter. Right?
Right.
It's it's
Or develop
wild, but
skill
yeah, yeah.
because
But I mean,
they literally do it online, which is, I'm sorry, I don't think that qualifies you.
unfortunately, the law in a lot of states says that it does, and it's disturbing because we see that a lot in the Midwest. But I mean,
Mhm.
we tell people, I mean, you can skimp on a ton of things, anniversaries, Valentine's Day, I don't know, stuff
You
like
shouldn't
that.
you shouldn't skimp on Valentine's Day. I wouldn't
Oh,
recommend that, but
oh, really?
everything
Okay.
else, no, I'm
Starting
joking.
this year, babe. Starting this year, Con. I am going all out. But I mean, on the things that you're actually relying, to defend your life or the people's lives that you love, that is
Right,
wild to come in
right.
underwhelmingly underprepared, or overwhelming. I don't know. Speaking English.
Overwhelmingly underprepared. Is that
Yes,
what you were
right?
trying to say?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, right. And
yeah.
so, man, I can't imagine on the worst day of your life figuring out that you're not ready. And that's kind of, we tell a story in a lot of our classes. When you attend just a concealed carry class, we talk about the Dunning-Kruger phenomena, because I mean, that's our subtle way of begging
Mhm,
you to go get more training, and just,
mhm.
um, and we talk about this local guy whose 8-year-old fell into the river here, the Missouri River,
Oh,
and he
yeah.
jumped over to save his life. And he jumped over thinking that he was going to save his son's life, and in fact, he drowned, right? And
Wow.
he drowned because he didn't understand what that was going to take from him, the physical toll
Right.
of the current,
That's so
what a,
sad.
oh, it's wild,
You
and
said the dad died, but the boy
the
lived. Is
boy
that what you
lived.
said?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. And
yeah.
it's just, I mean, all of the things that, and we can say, man, that's not right for you to talk about that, but you're armchair quarterbacking or whatever. But the reality is we should not ever let a death not teach us a lesson.
Yeah.
Let's let unfortunately this man, this father, teach other dads something so that we don't do it, even if it's just saying, hey, in that moment where you shove off from shore and you say, hey, I got this, if something happens to my son, I got this. Instead, you should say, you know what, I'm probably going to throw a life jacket on.
Right.
Nothing's probably going to happen, but I'm going to take these steps.
Right, and how many times have we met that person that, you know I know lots of people like this in my life where, you know, get on a, I don't know, touchy situation, let's just say, maybe the road conditions or maybe whatever it is, and you're thinking to yourself, "Oh gosh, I don't know if we should keep going or whatever," and they're just like, "It'll be okay," and then and they're not prepared for whatever could happen from that, and they just don't think it through, and then that's how bad things happen,
Right. Yeah.
sometimes tragic.
Yeah. A lot
Mhm.
of it is not thinking it through. And if you
Mhm.
don't know what to think about, then how are you going to do
If
it?
you've
And
never
that's
thought about it before,
right.
you're not going to go there in the moment.
We have a saying here, and I don't know where I stole it from. I think Willie Loriano, but we say the body won't go where the mind hasn't. Maybe you've heard that
Yeah.
before, so maybe
Yeah.
it's not Willie's, um, but I mean, if you don't kind of go through these scenarios, we post a lot of this stuff on our Facebook of personal defense things, and it's kind of important that we just review other people's good and their bad, and then we try to learn
Mhm.
from it. And
Mhm.
instead of just I mean, it's something to at least look at that video and say, man, I wonder what I would do in that situation. That's great.
Right.
That's a start. But then actually go and apply those skills. You know,
Mhm.
we have a home defense class where it's force on force. You go through a few hours of seminar, and then we turn the building into a house. I mean, it's pretty well set up like that anyways, but we turn one of our buildings into a house. And then we've got these match grade airsoft. And we say that pain is one of the most amazing teachers that you can have, right? I mean, you
Mhm.
might as well learn what to do with an airsoft gun that's real accurate. But so what we have is everybody in the class becomes the jury, and then our instructor, who is a retired federal prosecutor for 27 years, he becomes the judge. All right. So
Mm.
everybody's right in the scenario with you. They're wearing iPro tucked in a corner, and
Yeah.
then the scenario kicks off. And we've had people say, man, I don't know. I knew what I was going to do. I knew, I'd watched other people. I knew I had to come down these stairs. I got to the top of the stairs and I blacked out. And I was like,
Wow.
man, yeah, I get it. I mean, and
Yeah.
not like physically blacked out, but
Right.
blacked out to where
Like
they were
froze
just
mentally.
shooting. Yep, they were
Right.
shooting. They were doing stuff that wasn't appropriate for. And I encourage them, hey, that is the time in training. This is an amazing time to do this, because I promise you, you won't
Mhm.
do it in the moment. You know, get in the habit of letting your brain feel all of those chemicals dump in there, and then
Mhm.
at the point that you actually need it, you're gonna say, your body's gonna say, I've been here before. Like
Right.
I'm familiar with this territory. So yeah.
Yeah, and could you expand a little bit more on your facility? Because that is incredible training that you're offering there, as close to real life scenarios as you can possibly get. What else is it? You've got like a whole, like, I hate to say compound, but kind of like you've
Yeah,
got
no,
this
it
whole
is.
thing,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
you're gonna
set
want to
out.
come here if when the zombies
I
come. Yeah.
know, I know.
Well, actually,
I have
you're up in the
family in
mountains.
Nebraska, so it's definitely on my mind.
Where in
It's definitely on my
Nebraska?
mind. Like central Nebraska.
Okay,
So it'd be a
cool.
little
Yeah, well,
bit of a drive, but still.
it's all right. Yeah, get them
Yeah.
here. But
Yeah.
yeah. So this facility, we try to explain this more as like an experience um,
Yeah.
than just a gun range. So you can be a member out here and you can shoot out. We've got ranges that go half a mile, and then we've got ranges that go much farther than that for our classes. And then we've got cool shotgun stuff and a bunch of pistol pits with a ton of different steel, from Polish plate racks to normal plate racks to Texas Stars to just silhouettes and all that jazz. And then we teach about 30 classes, between 24, 27, and 30 classes a month, right? And so maybe half of those or more are here at this location. And then we also have like a stocked pond. We have axe throwing. We've got a rock wall. We've got a rope swing into the pond for the summer. We've got a beautiful waterfall and cabins or a cabin. I shouldn't say cabins. That's in the works. But, and then we have 3 RV hookups. So when people come in and train, they can stay there, or they can stay in our bunkhouse. We've got a really nice bunkhouse that, I mean, it's pretty fantastic. We could probably Airbnb it, but it's pretty cool, right, to come in. And so
Yeah,
people
and you
come in
said
from
something
all
about
over the
shoot
country.
houses too. Weren't you building shoot
Yeah,
houses
yeah. So
last time I talked to you?
the last time was right before the Christie Horton. So we can turn one of our pistol pits into a shoot house.
Oh, okay.
And so we put up all these walls, and you can actually live fire into this thing. And so it's pretty neat. And then we've got a catwalk above. And so it's pretty cool. We're really limited only by our imagination. This is one of the neat things out here is we'll get a bunch of government agencies to come train out here because we don't have any of the bureaucratic red tape,
Mhm.
the BS. If we want to
Mhm.
drive down one of our ranges at 70 miles an hour from a Buick we got from a junkyard, we can do that shooting out of this thing. Like we don't have to sign any
Adam's gonna wanna
waivers.
come play with you, I have a
Oh yeah.
feeling.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yep. So,
that's
but
awesome. Now don't you have a second range or a second
we
facility
do.
or something? Okay,
Yeah,
where's
we've
that?
got, in Platte, South Dakota. So we've got a
Where is that
beautiful
in South
facility there.
Dakota?
Let's see. It's about 40 minutes west of Mitchell. It's a couple
Oh,
hours from the Black Hills, so it's probably
okay,
2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours from the hills. 40 minutes from
okay.
Chamberlain. I don't know. I mean, I could keep going saying small
Yeah,
towns that it's by. I don't really
yeah,
know. It's on the
I know the
map. It's
vicinity.
yeah. It's
I know where
somewhere.
Mitchell is.
It's
Isn't
about an
isn't
hour and
there
a
some
half from
kind of a
Sioux Falls.
corn thing there or something? There's a
The
corn
Corn
palace.
Palace. The Corn Palace is
Yeah,
that? I've
yeah.
never been to that.
I haven't either,
Uh,
but I've seen the signs.
I must not
Anyway,
love my
okay, let's
kids. I'm
move
gonna
on.
bring
We're
them.
getting off
Okay.
we're getting off track.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, so
So
what yeah, go ahead.
no, no, no. Say something. You go first.
This is too much fun. Okay, moving on to another topic that we discussed earlier.
Hmm.
Standards of progression.
Okay. Oh
What
yeah,
do you
this
want to
is a
say
good one.
about yeah.
Yeah, standards of progression. So I like to tell the story about when we brought this. So we've had Marshall Blade Concepts in here. I know you just talked to these guys. They're
Mhm.
awesome. Adam,
Mhm.
that whole
Yeah.
that whole program is really great, right? And we've had Marshall Blades come in multiple times, and then we've had Willie Loriano, who's a big Kali and uh, knife fighting guy from California, come in. He's the dude who teaches the SEAL teams, and so he comes in and he puts on a really elaborate class. All right. Awesome. A 1 day or 2 day class. And so we have a bunch, probably like 30 people come to this. And so then we schedule them the next year. And I get probably 5 phone calls from people saying, like, hey, is he going to do the same class, or are we going to, do like a secondary, a follow up, a more advanced class? I'm like, guys, have you been knife fighting for the last year somewhere? Like, have you been practicing what he told you? Oh, no, you haven't. You've gone about your lives. You probably could take the same information over again and learn a ton of crap, right? And
Mhm.
it kind of reminded me, none of our instructors here are too good to take a fundamentals class. Like, I would take a
Absolutely.
fundamentals class from you in a heartbeat,
Mhm.
because you probably know something that maybe I'm not conveying to my students, maybe I haven't picked up personally, all of that stuff. So it's, you should never be too good to just keep
Yep.
on retaking stuff until you think you've got a decent grasp on it, right?
Mhm. Oh, yeah, I'm still taking fundamentals or basic classes from new trainers because not only can I learn as a student, but I can watch them as an instructor.
Right.
Tons and tons of information you can gather from a basic class. I mean,
Yeah.
mastering anything is just the fundamentals. The
Right.
fundamentals are everything.
Yeah.
So,
And I would
yeah.
say one of the safest standards for you is to, until you're either the top shot or you're the, like, in the top one or two, three people of that class, take it over again. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Until you have risen above everybody else in that class, you're
Mhm.
not too good to take that class. And even then, you're not too good, but
Mhm.
that's a good indicator. Hey, maybe you should move on. It's time for you to
Mhm.
to start adding tools to your
Right.
toolbox.
Right, you don't wanna stay there forever.
No, you don't want to stay
Yeah.
there forever, but it's
Yeah.
so wild how many people want to add tools to their toolbox, but they don't even have a toolbox to put it in, right? They don't even
Right.
have the foundation, the fundamentals of safety. You cannot possibly want to take one of our pistol tactics classes, but you can't keep your finger off the trigger and you can't stop pointing your gun at people, right?
Mhm.
And then your response back is, it's okay, it's unloaded. You don't belong in
Mm.
that class. You belong
No.
in a fundamentals class.
Yeah.
Anyway, whew, all right.
I feel your
Yeah.
pain, man. I feel your pain. I really do. Yeah. Yeah, and
Well,
it's
as a
always fun
business,
to have those repeat students come back and take those same classes again because those are the students that actually end up progressing and
yeah,
doing well, are
yeah.
those
Well, and
ones
you
that aren't
and
afraid to come back again.
and you kind of rely on them because you know that you know that they're not an issue. They're there
Mhm.
to gather knowledge. but you know
Mhm.
they're not a safety concern. You know that they're
Mhm.
gonna a lot of times if you come back one or two times to the same class, I'll say, hey, listen, here's the standard for these guys. This is what I want you to do, Adam Lynch. I want you, you know, these guys are aiming a 2-inch circle. Listen, you're going to cut that thing in half. I want tightest
Mhm.
groups I've ever seen out of you, you know? And then,
Mhm.
so you're adding kind of that extra level. They've proven themselves to
Mhm.
need more, you know? So you
Yeah,
can
you
always
have to
be
know your
challenged.
students. That's part of it. You absolutely do. Yeah.
So that's an important thing, is that we should always be the student, never the instructor. And I say that a lot when people are looking for instructors to train with.
Mhm.
This is, I don't know what it's like out there, Laura, but you know, I
It's
was just on.
beautiful. You should come here.
Well, yeah, no, I would
I'm
love to. I'd
joking.
love to. Yeah, I would love to. No, maybe in the spring or the summer, you know,
Yeah,
when it's not nice here.
I think Adam's gonna be back in the spring, and there's no more beautiful thing than springtime in Montana, so
Good. Well, it sounds like today was terrible. The cold weather and then the nice weather and then the cold weather again. I just let me know when it's
yeah.
consistently nice. Yeah.
I don't know if that'll ever happen, but, we'll
I
give it our
guess
best shot.
what I was meaning by that is I don't know what it's like out there, but here we have we the instructor market is saturated. All right.
Mhm.
And it's saturated with people who, I'll give you a good story. When I had to go get recertified for a 3-letter instructor certification that means
Mhm.
nothing in my credentials, but unfortunately, in order to teach a bunch of stuff, you have to be certified through these guys, right?
Mhm.
So I go to get this certification, and I'm literally in an instructor class with people. This person had never shot a firearm before, but they wanted to be an instructor. They passed. Not they should not have passed, right? But they
Wow.
left there being certified as an instructor. Had They did not have their own gun. They didn't have any of the things that you would normally, right? That you would normally kind of
Did you ask them why they
expect.
wanted to be an instructor?
Nope. I was so you know Adam. I
Yes,
know
I know
Adam.
Adam. Mhm.
And I don't think I could have handled that conversation
Mm.
cordially. You know,
Mhm.
I would have said in a roundabout way, I probably would have said, hey, listen, you have no business being here, you know, but that's not my place.
Sure.
My place is to tell everybody on a podcast, you know, air out my dirty laundry, right, about this stuff. But what we see this abundance of instructors um, that don't know anything about anything, right? Again, they almost fall into the Dunning-Kruger phenomena where they say, "Hey, man, I like guns, so I'm going to teach," you know, because there's money in it. I can do the math. There's, you know, you teach 5 people this and you make $14. It's totally worth it, you know. So it's saturated, and so my problem is how do you weed through as a student, how do you weed through and find who's relevant, right?
Sure. Yeah, that's a question we get all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we have a couple things. We always encourage you to ask us, anyone, when was the last time you took a class with somebody else and who was it, right? So
Mhm.
when was the last time you sought out training yourself, all right?
Mhm.
And you know, when they say, "Oh, it was the police academy in 1978," that's not good enough. Or, "Hey, I was a police officer for 20 years," or, "Hey, I was in the army for 20 years," or, "Oh, I did this for," you know, cool. At some point, um, your old credentials are not relevant anymore, right? I mean, if you think
Mhm.
how often we get changes in the fundamentals of shooting, whether it's grip,
Yeah.
stance, any of this stuff. So when somebody is
Mhm.
teaching this, and I just saw, I can't remember what her name is. She's teaching in, Lisa is teaching in New York, all right now. And she just
Mhm.
posted a picture of this instructor just with the worst stance and grip ever, but he was teaching at this gun range. And I think she just happened by and took a picture of this. But I mean, that
Oh,
group, those people are there believing that this dude,
right.
I mean, they have put him on a pedestal, right?
Yeah.
So what
Yeah,
can
and they
you
don't
ask?
know any different.
No, they don't know any different.
They don't
So
know what they don't know.
standards, right. And standards should simply be this. Hey, ask them when the last time they took training with somebody else. All right. Also, if they're 1,000 years out from when they did their job, but they act like they were just doing it yesterday, that's, you know, they're not
Red
relevant
flag.
anymore.
Yeah.
Red flag, right? If you're still wearing your black police boots from, when you were copping, 20 years later, to teach classes, I look at this stuff and I'm like, man, okay, all right, we've got it. You're living in the past, and I can tell by, your modified Weaver stance that we're still there, right? And then the other thing is I would definitely know the fundamentals of safety before you ever get there, right? So this is something you can Google, all right? So what that looks like is when you see that instructor put his hand in front of the barrel, well, I mean, instantly discredited. You know what I mean? When he
Mhm.
holsters and he points that gun back at himself, or when he's hanging out with his finger on the trigger, or when he points that gun at his students and says, it's okay, it's unloaded. I mean, you need to
Mhm.
understand, hey, I want my money back and I'm never coming to this class again, right?
Mhm.
And so this is huge. This is huge. And
Yeah,
then,
that
yeah,
go ahead.
no, you're fine. Nope, nope, nope.
No, I'm just thinking about, there are standards in every industry, and those that aren't in that core industry don't understand it because they don't know what they don't know. And I hate to bring it back to saddle making, but my husband's a saddle maker,
Mm,
and his price tag on his saddles is a lot more than one that you'll just go buy off the shelf at a store or
mm-hmm.
whatever. And those that don't know don't buy his saddles. They're just way too expensive for somebody like that doesn't know what they don't know. But for those that know, they're willing to pay that money for that saddle because they know that what they're getting is, 10 times higher quality. It's made literally by hand and not, from a foreign country out of a clicker machine and all this
Yeah,
stuff. So, but again, it all is going to boil down to education, educating people and trying to get them the, maybe what we're doing right now is helping somebody, JT,
yeah,
so that they can see those red flags in advance and they can go, oh, I heard one time that maybe that's not a good thing. But it's hard if you don't know. So is there anything else that you can think of that are red flags or ways that people can vet maybe their, I mean, they should go to their website. They should see not only what credentials they have, because most people don't know all the acronyms of all the stuff they've done. And people oftentimes exaggerate, or not make up, but exaggerate things and make themselves look
yeah.
better than they really are.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I think we all have to do that. There's this thing, and Mike, one of our instructors, was talking about today. Mike's teaching a shotgun tactics class tonight, and Mike's never breached. He's never killed anyone with a shotgun. He's never had to defend his home. And so he said, I just hate that I'm teaching this stuff. I said, Mike, you are an expert with this shotgun. All right. You've
mhm.
done enough training with this. You understand tactics in and out. Guys, I appreciate, I'm seeing all these comments come in. They're awesome. So I just noticed them. So anyway, but so Mike and I were talking about this, the imposter syndrome, right? And I think that that's important, that you keep a healthy check on that. You know what I mean? There are
Mhm.
times when that can get out of hand, and I always appreciate when, um, like Mike is concerned. If he wasn't concerned,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
and that's awesome, and I'm thankful
Right.
for that. I don't want guys who are so confident and so cocky that they think they're qualified to teach everything.
Mhm.
And so that's important to me. Um, I don't really remember where we were going. I forgot.
Well, we're almost wrapping up because we're actually way further into the hour than I realized.
Holy
So,
cow!
yeah,
There's so
one more
many
thing
things
I
I
want to
wanted to
go
talk about.
over.
Yeah,
One more thing I want to go over, and then we'll go into a short Q&A. We do have a few questions. If you're good with that, JT, we'll
yeah,
go over.
yeah,
But you talked a little bit about student mindset, and I think we could kind of tie into that in this conversation on how important it is for the students as well to maybe check themselves and be humble, because it's not always the instructors.
yeah,
Sometimes it's the students. So what can you tell students about coming into a class and their mindset?
yeah. Well, I took a class under the instruction of Brian Hill. All right, and
Mhm.
Brian Hill, anytime he corrects you, he wants you to just say thank you, right? And Man, that's so important because instead of just saying a bunch of excuses back, well, I've
Mhm.
always done it this way, or I'm used to hunching down like this is how I was taught, or whatever, whatever the stuff is, instead of just, if you just start by saying thank you, it is a mental thing that you will you will be so stoked about later because it
Mhm.
makes a difference. First off, you're more willing to actually take in the information and
Mhm.
say, I'll try this. And guys, that's one thing. When you get to a certain point, once you get past the fundamentals, there's this thing called shooter's preference, right? And the way I hold the gun may not be the exact way that you need to hold the gun, right? Your hands are probably different. Your grip strength is probably different. All of these things. And so um, at that point, you just take the information and you kind of tweak it to make it yours. All right. Now you have to always be auditing your skills because if you suck worse or you continue to suck, then hey, maybe you should do exactly what that person said, right?
Mhm.
Um, and at that point, I don't even remember what we're talking about. I feel very Joe Biden-y tonight. I don't know. Anyway, you know. So I'm
It's
sorry.
okay, it's okay. Comic relief, I love it. No, you were talking about, and when we were talking about it, you specifically were talking about women instructors and how
Oh,
sometimes
oh,
they can be yeah. Now you remember,
yes.
don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we so my smoking hot fiance is an instructor out here. We didn't meet on the range. I wasn't her like boss and then did anything weird like that, so stop judging. But she is an instructor now. It's funny because we had a good reminder of this the other day when kind of an older gentleman was at the range, and we were just teaching a youth intro to firearms class. And I wasn't in the class. I was teaching a private long range deal to a bunch of guys. But Ton after class said, "Hey, this guy came up and for the life of him, he could not believe that I was out here. Like he was trying to figure out why I would be out here." And so it was, and he was asking a bunch of questions, and she was trying to answer them, but she understood what he was saying. He was essentially saying like, "Hey, you're a girl. What are you doing teaching these kids anything?" And this guy's
Mhm.
1,000 years old or whatever, but and he brought in his great 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 grandkids out to take this class. But I think he wanted Mike, who was the other instructor at the time. He wanted Mike to kind of but he had no idea about Tanya. Tanya's a federal officer during the day. She will shoot the pants off of probably, I mean, any of our students, easily any of our students, and maybe half of our instructors. All right. I mean, she can catch me on days where I'm not just right on the,
Mhm.
if I am not on my A game, she is handing me my butt. So she's amazing. So what does that I mean, the idea that she's instantly discredited
Mhm.
sucks, right? And the
Mhm.
idea that she can only teach women sucks also. I mean,
Mhm.
that's not the way that should be. Now, there are some things that, again, when we kind of rein in the classes, Tan is very comfortable teaching women's basic classes. She loves teaching kids. She's not out teaching tactics past like women's defensive tactics. And so that's her realm. She's not asking these guys she's not asking to teach low light, no light stuff or room clearing or anything like that. Even though she has those skills, she
Mhm.
she, she kind of draws more to enabling or empowering women, right? So that's her
Mhm.
deal. But she is by
Yeah.
no means limited to that.
Mhm.
It's crazy. So anyway, and I
Yeah,
wanted
so
to know if you felt that as a female instructor as well.
Um, I guess I've had a few people that I've gotten that sense from, but usually what happens is over the course of time, that can be changed. That attitude or judgment can be changed. And not that I'm trying to prove anything, absolutely not. But just through the course of the class, they can see, oh, well, actually, she does know what she's talking about. Oh, well, she
Hmm.
actually does know how to shoot. And usually they don't come to me with that verbally and say anything. Of that nature, but I can usually tell who those people are, and that's okay. I would be skeptical too, and so what? But you have to be willing to change your mind. So you come into a class, try to keep an open mind, but if you can't, uh, you know, be willing to change your mind. And I think that's the sign of a good student. And we all should strive to be good students, because that's the essence of learning and being a lifelong learner. If you're not, then you're gonna be stagnant. So
Yeah,
my 2
absolutely.
cents anyway on that.
Yeah,
So we've got 10 minutes left here. We might go into these questions here. We don't have a ton. So guys, if you have questions you want to ask JT or me on anything that we've discussed tonight, or even maybe if it's a little bit off topic, that's okay. Drop it in the comments now. We'll go through this quick Q&A here, and we'll be wrapping up quickly. Adam's mic is down. Yes, Adam can't talk tonight.
there's not a millennial that can just go in there and click the right button for him to
Yeah, but there,
get his
yeah, I don't know
microphone
who
on.
that would be, but I can see him in the background. He's smiling and he can try to talk, but he has no audio.
Yeah,
I
just
secretly think it's kind of fun, but
Google it, Adam. Jesus.
Google it, Adam.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so let's go in with the first question here. Thrifty in the Morning wants to know, do you have any low light training? You kind of touched on that, I think.
We do. Yeah, we do. Especially this time of the year. So we try to have almost every one of our classes during the winter months, the fall and winter months, have at least a little bit of it. We call it entertainment, all right? Because A, it's entertaining to see what it's like to shoot at night without much light. And then B, it kind of lets you know, like, oh, hey, these are things I haven't thought of. I can't see my sights. Man, I
Mm-hmm.
don't carry a flashlight. Should I have this weapon mounted light on? All of these
Mm-hmm.
things, right? And so we'll dabble in that a little bit. Tonight's low light class was tactical shotgun. And so they got to do a little bit of that. Now, we do have low light, no light classes that are on the books. I don't have my calendar right in front of me, but yeah, it's on our website. Go to our website, Rev-Tac.com. And if you don't see a class on there, you'll look through and you'll be like, man, these guys teach 90 different classes. That's true. So if you don't see a class on the calendar, just let us know and we'll schedule that dang thing.
Yeah.
So thanks for the question, Thrifty.
Yeah, really quick on the low light thing. I think it's so important. I know lights are talked about all the time, and you need this many lumens and you need to blah blah blah. But how many of us actually? Maybe a lot of us do, but some of us maybe don't. You need to train with your gear. You need to
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
go shoot low light and actually make sure
Right.
that that light is actually going to do what you think it's going to do. Don't just go buy it because somebody said, "Well, this is the brand and these are the lumens." Okay, I'm
Yeah.
good. You
Yeah.
gotta know what it's actually gonna do in real life.
Yeah, and you're gonna find out that it's probably not the only flashlight you're ever gonna buy,
Mhm.
because holy cow, there's a lot to these things, and you would not even know. And we try to keep every class here as simple as we can. We're not gonna bore you with lumens and candelas and whatever. But the
You're not
goal
gonna
is
geek out on flashlights?
I mean, we can go into the weeds on that stuff, but
Yeah.
really, hey, bring what you have, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then you at least know, not on the worst day of your life, that you need something better. And when you leave that class, you'll know, like, okay, now I have an idea of what I'm looking for. We don't care
Mhm.
if you carry a Streamlight or a Surefire, as long as it ends up. Oh, thanks,
November
babe.
13th.
Yeah, she's the best. Oh, I love her. All right,
You've
but
got somebody in the background too.
yeah, Ton is absolutely rocking it in the basement, I think, right now. So anyway,
November
so
13th.
that's November 13th is our next low light, no light class.
Great. Anything else you needed to add before I cut you off again, JT?
Nope, we're done. Let's go to the next question.
Okay. All right. Can a non-member still sign up for any of your classes?
Oh, that's an awesome question. Yes, absolutely. Hey, and help us change that perception, because people are like, man, we got to join your militia to go out there and train. That's not the way it is out here at all. This is more of like a redneck resort than it is a militia, right? And so, yeah, any of our classes you're welcome at, and we can help kind of guide you. If you give us a call or a text, we'll say, hey, this is a great class for you, or start here, wherever you want to start, really, as long as it makes safety sense.
I think this comment has something to do with the Dunning-Kruger effect, unconscious incompetence. So we talk about unconscious competence all the time. Maybe not being aware that you're
Yeah,
incompetent is the same
yeah,
thing.
yeah. The ignorance is bliss, right? And I mean, it's so crazy. We see this all the time where guys is well, we have a shirt. I don't know if you've seen these shirts. We have lots of shirts, but we have one that says "Run your gun, not your mouth," right? Because it's really easy to say what you can do, and you'll talk yourself into believing you can do that. I can
Yeah.
shoot a gnat's ass at 50 meters. And I'm like, you just show me what 50 meters even looks like first. And they're like, oh,
Right.
it's from me to that. No, it's not. That's 10 feet. So we got to just rein that stuff in
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's part of that mindset and attitude. Okay. I don't know who this is, but they wanna know
Oh,
how
yeah.
long each one of your classes is.
Yeah. So they vary. Intro stuff, we try to keep around 2 hours because believe it or not, 2 hours is a lot of information, drinking up I don't know, information from a fire hydrant
Mhm.
essentially. And so 2 hours, that's pretty good for an intro class. Generally, they're between 2 and 3 hours. Once we get into more advanced classes, they go in 4 hour blocks or 8 hour blocks, right? And then we have classes that go 2.5 days. We have a class that do that full days, one day. Then we can pretty much custom tailor anything to what you guys want, especially if you're coming in. I mean, we did 10 days with some guys from Switzerland. That was
Wow.
long. Yeah, we became best friends. So
Yeah.
still talk to
That's
those guys.
awesome.
Yeah.
I love the relationships that you create with your students through those classes. It's really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not
Okay,
so
here's
big. Oh yeah. Hey, Chris Brady, come on, let's do it.
when is JT and Tanya
Oh,
getting married?
oh, I wish she was up here. Listen, I don't want to give you the most romantic answer ever, but our tax guy said next year. He said, don't do it this year, wait till next year. All right. And it's funny because he was sitting there telling us, and Ton is the most amazing lady ever. Like, how normal women would be like, are you going to listen to that guy? Like, no, we're getting married, fly me to Vegas or wherever else. And nope, Ton's like, yeah, cool. Did you know Ton wants to actually volunteer for our honeymoon at the Living Water Ranch, the teen foster camp? That's her idea of a
Really?
honeymoon. Yeah, so she's not
Wow.
pressuring me to
You
marry
do need
her.
to keep that girl.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
She
So
needs to be on the
um,
show sometime. I think next time you're on, we wanna bring her on too.
you should
Judy.
talk to her because
Yeah.
she deals with crappy people every day, and so she is an amazing as far as situational awareness goes. As a female dealing with
Mhm.
felons every day, you have to have your situational awareness game on point.
Mhm.
And her escalation of force is
I bet
smoking
she
right
could
now.
teach us a lot.
Yeah, she's really amazing. It would be cool to get her on here as long as we can all agree that she's just like, I'm here and Ton is just
Good
right.
luck with that. Good
Yeah,
luck.
less
Yeah.
viewers, please. No, I'm kidding. She's awesome. So,
All
yeah.
right. 2 more questions here. Oh, Chris
Yeah.
Brady likes your answer, yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay. Next question, do you offer any non-gun classes?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, we have empty-handed stuff. We have a great combatives instructor. He's a ninja for 27 years. He can just Judy chop you, sneak up and Judy chop you anywhere. But we do a lot of empty-handed stuff. We teach a lot of workplace violence stuff and seminars like that as well. Um, and then I'm trying to think what else. We've got striking classes. We've got all sorts of stuff. Now, and tactical medicine, which is huge. We teach a lot of
Yeah.
tac med stuff, trauma management. We've got guys, special operation medics to guys who have a ton of experience on the trauma side of things. And so it's great to get those guys in here and just keep it simple. Again, that's one thing that we really expect to do here is just keep the train. There's no reason to try to confuse you with knowledge. If there's a simple way to do something, we want to teach you how to do it easily.
Absolutely. The KISS method is always a good idea.
Yes. Yeah.
And one last comment before we leave, you should start collecting stories and develop a sitcom from it. I
Oh
think
Lord.
you and Adam Winch could have your own
Oh
show.
yeah.
I
A
really do.
bromance.
A
Yeah.
bromance show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Adam, two gun guys. We're dating. We live in the same house.
Yeah.
We have to pretend like Chuck and Larry. The government wants to charge us insurance for something, so we get married. Yeah. I
Whatever
love it.
works for you. Whatever
I
works for
love
you.
it. I
All
love it.
right. Well, we are at the top of the hour. JT, you've been a pleasure to have on, and you are always good comic relief as well. But obviously, a ninja in your own right, and very competent and caring person to come on to Defenders Live tonight. We appreciate it so much. I hope that you'll yeah. Adam and
Yeah.
Adam and JT were doing the heart symbol earlier because Adam didn't have his audio on and he had to do sign language, so we did a heart.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, I wish you
Hmm.
guys could have seen it.
Yeah, I'll
Oh
get it.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. All right. So I appreciate it, JT. I will be in touch. Maybe we can have you on again and maybe Tanya can come on
Let's get
too.
Ton on next. She's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
I think so.
well,
So I'm
thank you
gonna
so much for having us.
yes, sir. I'm gonna take you off the screen here and we're gonna finish up because we are right at the top of the hour. Let's see here. So next week, I don't have any particular thing scheduled, although I will by the time the day comes. I have a surprise, and I'm not sure which surprise it's going to be yet. In fact, I'm just going to be so vague right now that it's just really annoying for you. But I promise you that it'll be worth watching. How about that? So stay tuned for next week. If you're not on the email notifications already, I always send out an email notification, if not the day before, the day of, like early in the day, to let you know what to expect for the next live. So that's where I'll be shouting out what to expect for the next live. So if you haven't done it already, go to jnltraining.com and sign up for email notifications. Okay. So that's where you'll hear from me and get like the first knowledge, access to what will be going on. All right. So, and if always, and as always, always reply to those emails and send me feedback. I really need to know what it is you guys want to know about, what you want to learn about, who you want to have on, how I'm doing. If there's anything I can improve on, I'm always willing to listen to your comments and feedback. I want to know what it is that I could improve upon. So, love hearing from you guys. I'm so excited that you were on tonight, and JT as well. He was a pleasure to have on, and a great comic relief, which I actually needed tonight. So I appreciate that. So we'll see you next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Until then, take care.